Sunday is Father's Day. This year, instead of getting my dad a card or a present, I decided to take the unprecedented opportunity to publicly declare what a great dad he has been and is. My dad is 87 years old. He was born in 1925, lived through the Great Depression, served in the Marine Corps, and spent 45 years farming in western Minnesota. He went to school through the 8th grade, but later attended Dunwoody Institute to become an electrician. In the 1950s, he had a chance to work with IBM on the first computers, but he chose to farm instead. He and Mom had 7 kids, 6 boys and a girl. On a farm, this is known as a labor pool. When you're a little kid, your dad is 7 feet tall and can take on Superman. You know, Dad wasn't far off. He wasn't faster than a speeding bullet, but he could outrun cottontail rabbits out in the hayfield. And he couldn't leap tall buildings in a single bound, but he could build tall haystacks shaped like Egyptian pyramids that were taller than the barn. Yes, he was a super dad, and I'll give you 3 reasons why. He was involved with his kids, he disciplined his kids, and he set a good example for his kids. First, part of being a super dad is being involved. I ran a few rough numbers. The local 4-H club gave Mom and Dad a plaque for 25 years of membership. That translates to 300 monthly 4-H meetings. In addition, Dad went to about 300 wrestling matches, about 100 concerts, and 7 high school graduations. Now, when Dad went to a wrestling match, he didn't just watch, he got into it. And he'd squirm his way down the bleachers, you know, as if he could help out the guy that was on the mat. And after a while, people learned to give him some space. Dad loves to fish, and he often made time to take us fishing. In the early 70s, during some rough financial times, he had the courage and the foresight to buy a lake lot and a small fishing boat so that the family had a place to play together. And over the next 20 years, we built a simple lake cabin together. And the Weckwerth family lake cabin is still our place of refuge, relaxation, and reunion. And I can't thank him enough for that gift. Dad usually let us fight our own battles, but occasionally he got involved to protect us. When I was 5, a mean leghorn rooster used to chase me everywhere. And Dad hid, caught him in the act, and turned him into soup. I always knew Dad was on my side, even when he had to punish me. Dad learned discipline from his father and from the Marine Corps. He handed out punishment sparingly, but effectively. Energetically might be another word that I could use. I can still feel one correction that I received when I didn't do my chores. Like all of his punishments, it was well-deserved, well-delivered, and well-remembered. His discipline inspired respect, not fear. Dad's name is Alvin, but everybody calls him Bud. And his most famous weapon was a stern glare that we called the Bud look. And he could freeze us to the church pew with one Bud look that he shot from all the way at the other end. What we really got from Dad, though, was a great example. Here are some more numbers. He milked those cows 30,000 times. Since milking each cow involves, squatting next to the cow several times, that adds up to 3 million deep knee bends. It's no wonder that he had 2 hip replacements and now needs a couple new knees. His body just wore out. Dad was always bleeding somewhere. Over the years, he poked himself in the eye with a wire, gashed his head with a pickaxe, ran his thumb through the corn picker, smashed his hand with a wagon, punched a chisel into his arm, broke an ankle from a cow kick, and got stabbed in various body parts with pitchforks. He got a lot of tetanus shots. And despite all these hurts, he had to milk twice a day anyway. Dad rarely showed discouragement, and when he did, he quickly bounced back and started the next day with the same determination and energy as before. He never had it easy. He never gave up. He just showed us that it could be done. He also showed us his strong faith. Every Sunday, the Weckwerth family sat in the second row from the back on the left-hand side of the church. And if we weren't there, nobody else sat in that pew. Dad was usually the first one there to the 8 o'clock service, even after milking cows. He taught Sunday school, ushered, and served on committees. And to this day, we follow that example, except for the 8 o'clock part. After church, there was always a big family dinner. And every night, there was always a big family supper. And as we ate, we talked. Dad is a student and is a student of many topics. His main resource was his set of World Book encyclopedias, the 1955 edition. And when our conversations raised a question, he'd send one of the kids to get the appropriate volume and look up the answer. Dad was curious, and his curiosity led us to value education and to develop many interesting hobbies and interests. Yes, my dad is a super dad, and he hasn't stopped setting a good example. Dad no longer outruns rabbits. In fact, he uses a walker now. But he has taught me that getting older doesn't mean that you quit. Dad was 70 when he started going to Boundary Waters with me, and he kept on even after 2 hip replacements, well past 80. In recent years, he found he couldn't bend over to work in the garden, so he crawled on his hands and knees to pull weeds. And now, he helps Mom deliver Meals on Wheels to those old people. He's still working and still serving. In conclusion, Dad set an example of hard work and persistence. He didn't let tough times break his spirit or destroy his hope. At times, he may have felt unappreciated. And I hope that this speech lets him know that he is appreciated beyond measure. Dad will never publish a parenting book, but he has written one. It's not written on paper. It's not written on a computer. It's written on the hearts and in the lives of his kids. Love you, Dad. Madam Toastmaster.